Hey, how are you? So a while back I built a bathroom vanity, and if you didn't see that project and you want to check it out, I'll put a link on the screen. And today I'm building a frame to match that vanity. Now I've already made most of the molding for this project on the table saw, and all the molding for this project is made on the table saw, so I'll talk a bit about the molding and how I made it as I attach it to the subframe. And that's the next step. I have to build the subframe, and the subframe is built exactly like a face frame. I'm using 3/4 inch birch plywood to build the subframe, and the reason why I'm using plywood for my subframe is I wanted it to be very stable. I don't want a lot of expansion and contraction because I'll be stacking so many moldings together. With the subframe built, I'm ready to start attaching the molding. This is a piece of molding made on the table saw. It measures 5/8 of an inch. The back of the molding is 1/2 of an inch high, and there's a 5-degree angle, and the molding tapers down to just about a heavy 3/8 of an inch. To help me position the first piece of molding, I've ripped a piece of scrap at 3/8 of an inch. I'll hold that flush with the inside of the frame and trace a line. When I attach the first piece of molding, I'll hold the back of the molding at the line, which will give about 1/4 of an inch lip to catch the mirror. The next piece of molding is a piece of bead molding, and this was also made on the table saw. And if you want to know how to make bead molding with your table saw, I'll put a link on the screen. And this piece of molding gets attached right up against the back of the first piece of molding. Now I'm going to use I'm really losing my voice here. Now I'm going to use a piece of cherry to band the outside of the frame. And this is a piece of cherry that I've milled to 1/2 inch by 1 3/4 inch. And I'm using cherry on the outside because the outside of the frame will be natural cherry and the inside of the frame will be painted white. And this is done to match the design of the vanity. Now one thing I should point out is I wanted to use 1 3/4 on the side. I wanted that thickness. So I padded the back of the frame out with 1/4 inch Lawan plywood. That will also make it easier to attach this piece of banding molding because I can simply hold it flush with the back of the frame. I just finished attaching the cherry molding to the edge of the frame, and that leaves kind of a channel between the bead molding and the cherry edge banding, and the next step is to make molding for that space. I'll get started by ripping strips of poplar at 1 inch. Now I'll change the angle of the saw blade to 7 degrees. I've set the fence at 3/8 of an inch. Now I'll turn the molding on its edge and run it back through the saw. I just made a brand new sacrificial fence for the chop saw, and I've measured over 1 inch from the saw blade and put a mark on the fence, and now I'm cutting the 7-degree angle molding into 1-inch blocks. Now I'm filling the channel between the two moldings with the blocks, and I'm alternating the 7-degree angle to give me something that resembles a dental molding. And generally the math isn't going to work out, meaning if you start with a 1-inch block at this end of the frame, chances are you're not going to have a space for a 1-inch block at the other end of the frame. And so the way I deal with that is, let's just say that the last piece, or the second to last piece that I put down, is a 1/2 inch heavy. I'll take a piece of molding that I haven't cut yet, and instead of cross-cutting it at 1 inch, I'll cross-cut a few pieces at 15/16, and I'll bury those random pieces along the line, and because it's only a 1/16 of an inch, your eye will never see it. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about. I'll need to make up about 1/4 of an inch, and the best way to do that is to cut probably 4 blocks at 1 1/16 inches, and I'll bury them somewhere along this line. Now that's a good reason also not to cross-cut all of your molding right away. Cross-cut enough to get you started, but keep a few full pieces so you can make these alterations. I don't need to use a tape measure for this cut. I'll just push the molding just about 1/16 of an inch beyond the original line drawn on the fence. Well, I'm not actually finished with the project, but I just wanted to see what the mirror looked like in the frame. What I need to do now is take the mirror out. I'll give the frame a few more coats of paint. What I'm shooting for is an antique look, and basically something that looks like it's been painted several times over several decades. And then I'll sand the edge and the side and clear coat the whole thing with lacquer. And that's going to take a couple of days. So right now the plan is to install this on Tuesday, and once it's installed, I'll do a follow-up video and answer any questions, and I'll get some photographs up on Facebook and Instagram. If this is the first time you've tuned into my channel, please subscribe. The thumbs up is always appreciated. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you soon.